SGC here, and we're back for a movie review. Wilson. Directed by Craig Johnson. He's the guy that brought us Skeleton Twins, which starred Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig. I watched that, and it was interesting stuff, and definitely he brought that to here as well. This is a comic adaptation of a comic of the same name by Daniel Clowes, who actually also wrote the screenplay for this movie, and this movie stars Woody Harrelson, Laura Dern, Isabella Amara, Judy Greer, and Cheryl Hines. Everyone else check down below. So what's this about? Well, basically, it's about a middle-aged man, Harrelson, who reunites with his wife, and they haven't seen each other for a long time because things happen, and then they figured out that they actually have a daughter, and they're like, holy crap, we have to meet the daughter, and that's basically the entire film. So what did I think? Well, first off, I have to say, I didn't read Wilson prior to watching this film, so I couldn't say I had much expectations beside the fact that Woody's character is a people's person, and it was fun. I enjoyed how he was so awkward. He played that really well. The chemistry between him and Laura Dern, sort of the long-lost ex-wife, bought it. And then the chemistry with the daughter, pretty legitimate. You haven't seen her for so long, what else do you expect type of thing. So, yeah. In terms of acting, it's fine. The chemistry is great. Cinematography, fine. Anything I would address majorly probably would be sort of the pacing. The latter half is a lot slower than the first half. A lot of more jokes and punches in the first half, where it's just establishing his character that he is just a pain to be around. And then later on, when you see more of his family, it just seems to not focus on the comedy, but rather the drama and sort of like the feelings of stuff that they have to deal with. So after the movie, I read the comic, and I would have to say that it is adapted well. In comparison, I feel like Wilson is like a snapshot of the movie where things aren't connected, or they are connected, but it's not as fluid. Because if you have read the comic, you notice that each story is sort of self-contained, that it works on its own, but on a longer narrative, and it just jumps between scenes to scenes, whereas the movie just connects all these scenes together, I bet, skipping over some. I don't remember which one they skipped. Most of the stuff they kept, and I mean, seriously though, the dialogue in Wilson is pretty real-life based. It's not very far-fetched, and it really is adapted well, I would say. And having read the comic after the fact, I would say the only difference would be like the style, because Daniel Clowes actually changes his style up throughout the entire book. Some stories have different art, and it's more cartoony in some stories, but, you know, in the movie, it looks exactly the same. So definitely, it would have been interesting if they played with that a bit in the movie. I don't know how they would have pulled it off, but maybe shot it differently in terms of sequencing. That would be an interesting experiment to pull off to see how people would receive it. But beyond just the visual side of things, that's the biggest difference. In terms of the actual storyline, it's pretty much adapted. Would I say read the comic, watch the movie, read the comic? I don't think it really matters. I mean, if you knew about Wilson prior, you sort of know what Daniel Clowes is about. And I guess if you don't, then definitely check out his stuff, because it is really different, because it's not your typical superhero stuff or even just image stuff. He just has his own sort of style, and his storytelling is just more entertaining and more in-depth, I would say. So overall, Wilson, decent comic adaptation. Cast chemistry is there. Story is not your typical type of story. There seems to be sort of a arc where it seems like it's going to go to your typical Hollywood type of story, but it goes into places where it's like, wow, did not expect that. I mean, it's not something like, whoa, didn't see that coming, but what it was, oh, it was a nice change of pace. It's not your typical Hollywood sort of custody battle type of story like Gifted with Chris Evans, and definitely enjoyed it there. So yeah, that's basically it. Have you seen Wilson? If you have, leave your comments down below. Get back to you as soon as possible. And that's basically it for this review for Wilson. Later.